Hey, good morning, Facebook. It's Gerry from Rythmia Life Advancement Center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Want to talk to you a little bit about Rythmia Life Advancement Center. And I'm going to ask you to please press share if there's somebody that you think can use this, because I think that the message today is going to be important to people. We are a life advancement center in Guanacaste, Costa Rica. Again, it's called Rythmia. And hey Johnny, hey Maria, hey Jen, hey Sandra. And our Life Advancement Center is kind of different because we believe in this theory. And it's quite an old theory, over 5,000-year-old theory, but we're the only ones we believe that are practicing it in a center environment. And basically, we believe that sometime between when you're conceived and about 5.5 or 6 years old, you split from your soul. And then as a result of this split comes all dis-ease, all disorder, all addiction, all sadness. And then by putting this back together, we restore our lives and gives us a new chance. I always say that I'm in M&A. I'm in mergers and acquisition of your new life back. So that's what we do. How do we know that it works? Well, here's the thing that's unique to us. 6,000 people have come through the doors here, and 97.55% of them that received this merger while they're here still have it 6 months later. It's still working in their lives. 94.88% say this was the week that changed their life. So this program, the Rythmia Way, is a really, really, really unique, intense merger program that uses metaphysical teachings plus plant medicine, ayahuasca in the case of Rythmia. To have this merger occur, then to have it stay with you for a period of time. And that period of time is a forever. Hey, Cash, so please, please, please understand the process. The process is merging of your soul and then a healing of your heart. So in order to merge your soul, you first have to understand who you've become in this life. Most people, 99.99%, unless you've had a near-death experience in the past year, are split. Just the fact of life. Because you were designed to split. You were designed to have this split. Last week, my whole talk was on leaving yourself alone. This week, it's on those who decide to do something. What does that look like? I'm going to tell you something. That once you decide that this is it for you, that your soul wants back in the game, and you're going to do something, not go to workshops, not do this, but really do the work. Do the work to put this back together, which, by the way, is an incredibly hard week's work. Actually, if you're 40 years old, you're doing 40 years worth of work in 7 days. It's really a tough week, but man, please go to TripAdvisor, Rythmia. We are the highest customer rated resort of any type in the world. This little place in Costa Rica beats the Waldorf Astoria, the Four Seasons, all these fancy hotels, not just in Costa Rica, in the world. Something happens here that happens nowhere else. So let's talk about this for at home. What does this look like? Well, how do I know if I'm doing this work? Anything other than self-examination. Self-examination is seeing who I have become. Anything other than that is a spiritual bypass. What do I mean by that? You mean to tell me that if I'm doing breath work, it could be a spiritual bypass? Yes. You mean to tell me that yoga could be a spiritual bypass? Yes. You mean to tell me that going to see my shrink could be a spiritual bypass? Yes. Anything that is outside of me. And when I say me, I just don't mean a breathwork exercise or something to disengage me from life. I mean that is not actively on the trail to finding out who I have become in this life. And what is that? Why is that so important? Because without the who I've become, your soul will not merge back with you. Until you can say, this is who I've become in this life, your soul will not merge back with you. It's the way that it is. Why is that way? Because the soul doesn't want to merge back and get rebroken again. And until you see who you become in this life, you're destined to keep doing the same exact thing. So what does that even look like? Well, here's the interesting part. Most of us are so afraid to say who we become. Why? Because we're afraid that once we say it, it is us forever. And the exact opposite is fucking true. If we don't say it, it is us forever. Once we say it, grace occurs. So what is this thing about grace and telling the truth about us? So here's the thing. I'm a 56-year-old guy in a couple more days. And let's say most of us watching this today are in our 50s or 40s or 30s or whatever it is. Well, we've been trying. There's a part of us subconscious that knows what our issue is in this life. Not in our wholeness. In our wholeness, I know who all of you are. You're all beauty. You're all love. You're all grace. You're all kindness. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm talking about who your persona has become on this earth. And the thing is, your friends know it. You usually don't know it. And you usually won't say it because you believe once you label it, it is you. And the exact fucking opposite is true. Until you label it, it is you. So once you label it, something else occurs. So let's say you're 35 years old. There's this part of you that's been working on this thing your whole life. There's a part of you that knows that your collective trait in this life, this I am greedy, I am lazy, I am promiscuous, I am self-doubting. Whatever this thing is that you become, there's a part of you in the back of your mind, in your sub, that knows it. There's a little tiny part of you in your conscious that knows it, that's been working on it for 30, 40, 50, 60 fucking years. And guess what? It ain't fixed. It ain't fixed. It can only become fixed. Only become fixed when you call it out. And guess what? You don't fix it. This is where grace comes in. This is where heaven, this is where the energy, the great spirit, divinity, Pachamama, this is where all of this shit comes to a head. And if you don't believe this, you don't believe in God in any description. But I'm going to tell you something. Once I say I am a liar, once I say that I am greedy, once I say that I am lazy, once I say whatever the fuck it is about me that's the truth about who I become on this earth, then in that moment, my work stops. And God's takes over. And God in the form, I'm not talking about the old man in the sky with the Bible. I'm talking about the true God, the power that is all powers, takes over and grace sets in. And grace does the changing. You don't have to do the changing. You don't have to do the changing. What you have to do is tell the truth about the label. So, I'm an alcoholic is a half-truth. I'm an alcoholic is a result. I want to get to the truth. I'm greedy can be a whole truth. But whatever it is, and I mean God bless us, whatever it is, the moment that you tell the truth about it, it in itself starts to change. The moment that you tell the truth about it, it in itself starts to change because grace shows up. Now, the longer you lie about it, the longer you keep grace standing in thing. And what kind of a lie? I tell this all the time. When it comes to the first start of our program looks like, show me who I become, merge me back with my soul, and heal my heart. And that's exactly what plant medicine is trying to do by its nature to you. By its very nature to you. That's what the mother is trying to do to you. That's what grace is trying to do to you. That's what God is trying to do to you. To show you who you become, to merge it back with your soul, and to heal your heart, so that you, as a light worker and light warrior, can better participate in this thing called the shift, spreading light to elevate all boats in the harbor. Yeah, that's what you should be doing, right? But let's get back to it. So this thing about calling out who I become, this is the difference between plant medicine and not. So the day before you may tell your story as this. My name is Dave. I am a single father. I have 5 kids. I didn't graduate high school. I work at Walmart, and I steal shit out of the storage room at Walmart to feed my kids. That's before the plant medicine, or that's before the self-examination. After the self-examination, hi, my name's Dave. I'm a thief. Boom. Dropped. That is it. From there, Grace takes over. And Grace does an amazing job of changing us, because the change already occurred in us, but we have to label us so that the label is no longer true. We have to label ourselves so that that label is no longer true, because the longer that we stay away from labeling it, the longer the truth of the underlying lie stays with us. And then once that occurs, my name's Dave, I'm a thief. I am a thief. I'm sorry, I am a thief. Then all of a sudden, Grace comes in. And Dave, for some strange reason, stops stealing. And then the next thing that happens to Dave is his heart gets healed. And his heart gets healed without guilt, without shame, without anything. You know why? Because he's no longer the fucking Dave he was then. The only time that there's guilt and shame and stuff is when we're going to commit the same act again. That's what's dirty about it. That is what's dirty about it. I'm a man that cheats on his wife. I will always stay guilty of cheating on my wife, because I'm going to cheat on my wife again. Once I stop cheating on my wife, yes, I am sorry for what I did, but there's no guilt and no shame, because I am now a different person. It would be like me, and I have a brother who's my best friend, and he cheated on his wife. Yes, I feel bad about it, but no, I carry no guilt from that, because he's a different person. So whatever our humanity is, whatever human shit that we're doing, then by all means, anything that's not a focus on that first thing. So in other words, making more money, driving a better car, living in a nicer house, having a prettier wife or husband, fucking becoming an author, or this or that, anything that takes us away from calling out who we are is a spiritual bypass. I used to go to, there's a place I love, Agape Spiritual Center. I love this place. And sometimes when I'm sitting in what I call church, which they don't, but when I'm sitting in service there and I'm watching one of my favorite people in the world, Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, do his fucking voodoo, which is amazing shit, and I'm watching people in the audience with me, and I see them. Sometimes I just look and I watch, and I get it. Ding, 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 ding. This person has come out of who they are. They borrowed some faith from Michael, and this is their bypass. And they'll be good probably till Wednesday on his faith. Instead of sitting alone, and that doesn't mean that I have 1,000,000% respect for what Michael does, because he directs people ultimately back to themselves to do this work. He does. That's what he does, right? But sometimes the problem, when I look at all these spiritual people and I look at them sitting there, and I know they're borrowing his stuff so that they don't have to do their own for another 3 days. And that is not how you do it. Here's how you do it. You do it like this. You come to a place like this, and we'll do it for you, because there is no such thing. But holy shit, we'll set up your racetrack, so all you got to do is get on and go around the loop. But if you can't get here, then do your work yourself. And what does that mean? Instead of going to yoga 365 days, instead of doing all that shit, sit down with yourself, get a babysitter, take a day off work, go for a hike in the woods and take a journal and a pen or pencil, and you write down, this is the truth of who I become. You know, it's a great place to start if you don't have the advent of plant medicine or support staff or the things that we have here, and you're going to do it yourself, a great way to understand who you become is, who do my friends say I am that pisses me off when I'm not there? Boom. Boom. It's a great place to start. That's a great place to start, because there's such truth in it. There's such truth in it. Everybody knows who you become, and there's a part of you that does too, but you're afraid to admit it. And then let's do the work. Let's take a day. Let's take a day and let's start the work. And then let's say that you've never heard this kind of thing before and you just decide, fuck, I'm going to start today because I'm sick. I've tried everything and nothing has worked. I've tried meditation and yoga, prayer, spiritual mind treatments, metaphysical teachings, and I'm still here. I'm still fucking here. Okay, then let's go to step one. Let's take a journal and a pen, and let's go for a walk on the beach or a walk in the woods, or fucking close your closet door and sit in and start, and then end with this prayer that, hey, look, I've started looking at what I am today. I've started, and I'm going to ask you to, God, and in my subconscious mind, to continue doing this work until I develop enough trust to see my own truth. Boom. Boom. And then here's the greatest part about this. Once you call yourself out as who you are, once you call it, then everything else takes care of itself. Everything else takes care of itself. The reason that you're not doing it is your survival mechanism, which you needed for the first 15-ish years of your life hard. Your survival mechanism, your ego, said we can never tell ourselves the truth. We can't, because if we tell ourselves the truth, the walls will cave in and we will cease to exist. Boom. And there was a time when that was true. You might have been 4 years old or 5 years old. There was a time when the concept of that was true, but it's no longer true. So I always tell people this all the time. So let's say that follow me in this. I spent the first 7 years of my life on the ocean, and the tools that I used to use were a fishing pole and string. That's what I used to use, and it worked great. And then at my 8th year, my parents moved me to the desert. There was no water. And I fucking hung on to that fishing pole and tried every day. See, the thing is, the tool no longer serves you. And the tool was keeping yourself from telling yourself the truth. You moved to a place now where you no longer need that tool. You need the exact opposite of it. And doing this work, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you about doing it here for a minute. I want you to do it here, because we can get it done cradle to grave in 1 week. And I know this to be fact, because the people who live here get an electronic survey. At the day they check out, and 6 months later get a telephone call 2 weeks later. And that information is checked. And I know for a fact that about 95.06% of them that walk through the door have this merger happen while they're here, fact. And then that thing keeps working in their life, and it changes their life forever. So for a second, I'm going to tell you, we are off for the month of September. I'm redoing the Maloka, and I'm redoing the front desk, and I'm building another house, and we're about ready to announce some huge expansion plans here that involve a tripling of the size of this place. Yeah, it's going to go down another road. But before we do that, that'll be years away, because I have to buy land and do all kinds of stuff. That's years away. But right now, we're starting to get full all the time. So please call in, and please get your spot reserved. Get your soul is who's going to call. And if you can't, leave yourself alone until you get the nerve of taking that little journal and that pen on a walk. Because anything you do between then, I mean getting promotions at work, having sex with the most amazing people, drinking alcohol, doing all this shit, because I'm going to tell you something. Pre-merger, your highest state of being is pleasure. That's the most you can fucking do. So pre-merger, when you're split, the highest form of being you can have is temporary pleasure. That's sad shit. But after the merger, you have something really cool. It's called satisfaction. So please, I want you to do this, and I want you to hear this. You know, I get fired up. Why do I get fired up? Okay, I'm going to turn 56 years old. I've made and lost fortunes in my life. 100 plus million things, my end. I've done this all. I've been married, I've been single, I slept with more people than I know what the fuck. I've lived that life on the unhappiness side. And I've got to a point where I'm happy. I have mine. And I want you to have yours. I want you to feel this. And fuck, I'm not a thought leader. I am fucking not a thought leader. I'm not a thought leader. I'm not special picked or chosen. I'm anti-special, anti-picked, and anti-chosen. And it happened to me. It happened to me. I got mine. I want you to get yours. I want you to have yours. You know why? Walking through life without question is a beautiful way to be. And everybody should have it once, and you should have it. This is something you should have. I think it's our birthright as humans to have this feeling of walking through life without question. Fuck, man, it's a great thing. So please come and get yours. Please come here and get yours. And if you can't, don't do a thing until you have the nerve to sit down with your journal and a pen or a pencil, and to really have the talk with yourself about who you become. Because once you get there, and once you state the truth of yourself to yourself, then grace can take over. Once you state the truth to yourself, then grace can take over. And grace does everything. Grace merges you and heals your heart and gets you ready to go again. Grace merges you and heals your heart and gets you ready to go again. So I want everybody to get this. I want you to get it. You deserve to get it. You already have it, but you don't know how it works. So please do me two things. Number one, come to Rythmia. Call 1-866-936-9446 and speak to someone. Speak to someone. And you'll be amazed, man. You'll be amazed if you talk to someone that works here. You know, we had our little party the other night, our little end of season party. Our end of season is the last week in August, yeah? And we had 200 and some people at our party, yeah? People don't know how many people it takes to run Rythmia, right? And that doesn't include holistic staff or the United States staff. But anyway, we had this big party, and everybody there, when I looked down on this crowd, everybody there had one thing in common. They were here at Rythmia out of their heart. To be here to hold you through this process. To be here to hold you through this process. That's all they're here to do. So please do me a favor. Call the phone and speak to one of them. And call the phone. Yeah. Call the number and speak to one of them. Okay? Call the number and speak to one of them and just talk to them and say, hey, what does that program look like? How much does it cost? I want to go. Maybe I can't afford it this year, but please schedule me for July of next year and watch. Then start working on your journey. Then start working on it because you're coming here. Okay, guys, I love you, and I really do. This is what I do for a living. This is what I love doing. I could not have a better job. I swear to God, like, of all the things in the world, I don't give a fuck about running a country or fucking a big company or that. All I want to do is this, because I get to see the most beautiful things every week. I get to see real live people transform their lives forever. What a great thing. And that is grace in itself, because I owe that to the world for what I took from it. I do. Beautiful. Redemption's a real thing. Yes? So listen, Call 1-866-936-9446, and I want to tell you that I'm going to see you here at Rythmia. Between then, God keep you, God hold you, and God keep you safe. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful week.